Kevin Costner is known for his movie roles, but what people don't know is the actor has always had a passion for music. Kevin will join us in a minute, but first, let's take a look at what made him a Hollywood star. Kevin Costner had a handful of film credits for small parts when he got his big break in the 1985 film Silverado.
I'm going to ask you once. Was it self-defense?
Honest to God, he would have killed me.
He followed that up by starring in The Untouchables and Bull Durham, and then won the Oscar for directing while starring in the big-budget epic Dances with Wolves. That led him to 1992's The Bodyguard, which he starred in with Whitney Houston.
We'll always love you.
As a producer of the film, Costner suggested to Houston the song I Will Always Love You. It's a song that would become her signature.
We both know I'm not what you need. And I will always love you.
And their friendship, both on and off the screen, led him to give an emotional address at Houston's funeral.
Whitney, if you could hear me now, I would tell you, you weren't just good enough. You were great.
Recently, Costner has once again indulged his love of music. He started a band called Kevin Costner Modern West and is now on tour.
I want to be the place wherever hearts are true. Let me be the one.
Kevin Costner and Modern West are performing live at the Park Theater in Cranston on April 7th, and Kevin joins us right now. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for being on with us today. You know, I was reading through that list of movies, and they are all iconic movies in the sense of everybody, you know, has either seen these movies or there's something special about these movies. Do they mean the same to you as they do to everybody else?
Well, I can't speak to that because they meant something to me when I was making them. I thought, well, these have a chance to be classic if we make them right, you know, and a movie that kind of makes it to that point. Also, you realize it rides that razor's edge of it could also fail miserably. You know, so I can't understand why you wouldn't want to make a movie that doesn't want to just stand the test of time and fall into that area of classics. So yeah, that's how I would like them all to be perceived, but they don't all get over that hump.
And if we could, before we even get to your music, I was watching the preview of the new 3-part miniseries on the History Channel called Hatfields and McCoy. Now, after watching this, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I hope there's more than just 3, because you're in it, Bill Paxton's in it, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's a real interesting time in America. I mean, we've got the beards on, and it was a violent era in American history, and you know, sometimes we start to think, well, maybe these weren't even real people, but they were. You know, they weren't cliches. They were lawyers, they were judges, and they were having to make their way, you know, and arbitrated their own problems.
Okay, let's get to your music. Somebody who hasn't heard, you know, your music before, I know you said it was rock and roll, but it kind of has a country sound to it, right?
I guess it does. You know, I mean, you can't stand in the wind and go, no, 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 we're not, because if that's what people hear, and I can't argue with certain aspects of it because it actually does have that. But we kind of bounce around and we tell our stories. And my background and my family, you know, is in Oklahoma and the Dust Bowl, so you can't help but not have rooted stories. John Coinman is the same thing, but you know, the musical influences of my life from the '60s are really varied. But yeah, you're going to hear that. You're going to hear that in the stories. I would suspect.
And we don't want to scare everybody off when, you know, somebody may not like country music. It's not your typical like twangy country music. It's more like a modern sound, a modern country sound.
I would say that's more appropriate. You know, what you just described for sure.
And one of the, you know, I was reading through the bio, and one of the stories I love is how you met John Koyman, who's in your band. How he wanted to be, you know, acting, and you wanted to start music, and you kind of came together during a, you know, in one of these dingy LA, I guess, factories that you guys were kind of hanging out in.
It was a chemical plant, and you know, out of that same group came a guy who won the Oscar for the writing Dances with Wolves, and other for helping me produce it. So these little places that you go to early in your career when you don't have any money, you know, and you start collaborating with people who don't have any money themselves, you know, and out of that came these kind of associations, both film and music.
When they go out to the show at the you know, the Park Theater in Cranston, Rhode Island, it's an amazing place if you haven't been there before. But tell everybody, you know, what the show is going to be, and you know what to expect from the band.
Well, you know, my daughter went to Brown, and my other daughter went to Wesleyan, and actually my daughter actually performs there in Providence right now under a little kind of guitar group called Tig and Bean. So hopefully my daughter's there. You know, I don't know, maybe I'll embarrass her and drag her up on stage. I don't know. She probably won't want to even be close to me, but if I get close to her hair, I'll just give it a good pull. I say, get up here. You know, and but you know, you're going to just hear our version. A lot of these songs were written during the making of movies that people might be familiar with. I don't distance myself at all from my film career when I go on stage. You know, it's so much of it informed the music that I do, and we're going to play loud for sure. I'll just kind of try to read the audience. I know it's you know, my daughter, I know she's so protective of me. She goes, you know, Dad, it's a very artistic community here. And I said, I know, honey, I'm not going to, you know, I said, I get it, baby. I'm not a person that's on the edge, you know, so you're just going to have to relax. You know, I make cowboy movies, I make baseball movies, so, you know, and I know she's so worried for me that, you know, people are going to look up and go, you know, whatever. And I said, it'll be all right. I said, anybody that comes wants to hear what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to play original music.
Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. For tickets to see Kevin Costner and Modern West in person at the Cranston Park Theater on April 7th, or to learn more about the band, head to our website, WPRI.com.